Surely you have heard someone talk about a strange fact they have experienced. A glass that suddenly broke, a door that opened by itself, a painting that fell on the floor without being touched, strange noises or shadows, etc. Except that when we hear about these things, it is difficult to understand. We make fun of it, we laugh about it, we pretend to believe in it, and then we move on to something else. We get it. It's hard to believe in paranormal things when we haven't seen them with our own eyes, because after all, eyes never deceive, right? Well, that's precisely what we're going to show you today. Scary paranormal facts that you wouldn't believe if you hadn't seen them. You will certainly have the impression that you are suffering from visual disorders, but don't worry, it's very normal since it's paranormal. Here are the 8 scary videos that you have to watch to believe. Some people are passionate about the world of technology and especially about the latest generation of smartphones. They are very powerful and continue to amaze us with their incredible features. Bruno, a mobile technology expert who calls himself Tegra, is also a big fan of smartphones. He's so passionate about it that he's just doing his job. Indeed, Bruno is particularly interested in the lifespan and robustness of iPhone and Samsung. He makes them pass durability tests that he publishes on his YouTube channel. In his videos, he deliberately destroys the phones by using different methods each time. By dipping them into the water, breaking them with a hammer, crushing them with his car, or dropping them in unusual places and on great heights. One day, Tegra came up with the idea of testing the performance of the iPhone 11's camera by plugging it into a very deep well filled with hot water. You must have heard of it before, as it is a well-known natural phenomenon called the Devil's Cauldron. It is actually a natural cylindrical cavity pierced in the rock by ancient torrential streams. All this to know what happens inside, and especially to test the resistance of the phone against the heat of the water. But what he discovered was far more surprising than the result of the experiment itself. While the iPhone was in the middle of the water, he recorded a video. When Tegra pulled it out, he watched the film and heard very strange screams that suggested men and women were screaming in pain. We don't know of course where they come from, but what is certain is that they are audible. You will be able to judge for yourself. Listen. Simply unbelievable. Basements, attics, and cellars are not the most pleasant places in the house, we agree. It's even there that weird things often happen in movies and even in reality, like in this American's house. On October 23, 2015, Advil began hearing strange noises in the basement of his house. That's when he decided to take the ghost by the horns and go to meet him. So, he started filming when he went down to the basement. Once down there, the basement was empty, nothing strange, everything seemed normal. Until the glass case in front of him started to move by itself. An appalling phenomenon that scared Advil away on the spot. The next day, barely recovered from his emotions, he decided to turn on his camera again to try to find out more about this mysterious guest, and there the total shock. While recording, Advil started calling the ghost, hoping for an answer. A few minutes later, a strange shadow appeared at the bottom of the stairs and it seemed to be the silhouette of a man. Absolutely gruesome.
I heard some noises again. Hello? No!
When your little girl screams at night after going to bed, because she supposedly saw a monster under the bed or a ghost in the closet, admit it, you don't believe it. But not this daddy, because he took the trouble to believe his daughter's complaints that there was a spirit lurking in the house. So, he decided to install cameras in all the rooms to see if his sweet little girl was telling the truth. And what he discovered is simply hallucinating, and it's a very real sense we have the images. Look. In this first sequence, the little girl is playing quietly in her room, when suddenly the doll next to her started to move by itself. In the second sequence, while the little girl was coloring on the living room table, sheets of paper began to move as if they had been hit by a small draft, except that there were no doors or windows there. And when the girl ran away, the spirit knocked things on the floor that were on the table. I don't know about you, but that scares the hell out of me. Before we continue, let's take a short break and try to answer the following question: in which country did the terrible Spanish flu pandemic originate? The answer will be given at the end of the video. Okay, the office isn't the warmest place in the world, but this one isn't at all. On the morning of November 1, 2012, in the empty offices of Castlefield House, located on Liverpool Road in the city of Manchester, England, the surveillance cameras recorded some very strange things. While everything seemed peaceful and normal on the premises, strange phenomena manifested themselves one by one. Shadows crossing the hallways, computer screens turning on and off by themselves, chairs wandering around, door handles shaking, locker drawers opening and closing, files flying and doors slamming. It's true. Nothing proves that these pictures are true, but it would surprise me if people woke up at 2 a.m. and went to the office to pull a prank like that. Anyway, I'm afraid it doesn't look like it. Burglars usually enter a house either through the window or by breaking the door locks. But this burglar chose to do it in the original way. Look. This is Joe Cumming, an American actor living in the Manhattan district of New York City. He had noticed for some time that strange noises were occurring in his home at night while he was sleeping. Wanting to know what it was all about, he had a camera installed in his apartment. And what he discovered was just staggering. While he was sleeping in the middle of the night, a strangely dressed woman quietly came out of the air vent in the ceiling. In the pictures, she is seen walking freely in her living room, opening the fridge and cupboards to help herself to food with all the calm and serenity in the world. But as soon as Joe breaks into the living room, the intruder quickly hides to prevent him from seeing her. I think we found the angel that fell from heaven, but it's a ghost version. Admit it, it's hard to find anything more unusual. Mario Broll went on a hike thinking it would be good for his body, only he came back completely ill. During his hike, he had a strange encounter with a mysterious creature he spotted in the canton of Graubünden in Switzerland. In August 2016, near Lake Thoma, Mario, a German photographer, went to Switzerland to take pictures of the sumptuous landscapes and mountains for which the region of Graubünden is famous. And while he was immortalizing the beautiful landscapes, there was a shadow in the picture, this time a real one. Mario unintentionally took a video of a strange creature seen in the distance. The silhouette was moving on a rock and it was difficult for him to determine whether it was a vagrant or an animal. Mario thought at the time that it was an ibex, an animal known to occupy the mountains, but watching closer the video, it was clear that the figure was walking on its own 2 feet. But we can't see his face or his limbs. When the strange creature noticed that the camera was pointing at it, it rushed to the rocks and melted into the scenery and then disappeared. Well, at least we have proof that it has eyes and a brain. Not bad for a start. This curious encounter remains a mystery to this day. All that Mario was able to provide was that the silhouette must have been more than a meter high and stood about 100 meters away from him. At this rate, the mystery is unlikely to be solved anytime soon. We are now leaving for Russia, not to eat sirnikis, but rather to make an icy discovery. While they were walking in a snowy forest, a group of individuals ran across the body of a half-alien half-human dead and lying under the snow. The corpse looked more like a strange creature, more reminiscent of aliens than a human body. By approaching the camera, we can clearly see that the flesh is still present on the corpse and that it's not fake. Another disturbing thing was that the body was missing a leg that seemed to have been torn off by an animal. In your opinion, is it a malformed animal or an alien? Either way, it's really creepy. Imagine that you are watching a horror movie on TV and all of a sudden, strange things start happening around you. Impossible to imagine? Well, that's practically what happened to this man. While he was quietly watching TV, strange things started to happen, so he decided to film them. The kitchen drawers opened by themselves, the cupboards opened by themselves, the dining table chair started to move, the door to the storage room opened by itself. And from the pictures, it is clear that the man was alone in the apartment. What would you have done in his place? Clearly, I would have run for my life. So, you believe in paranormal phenomena now? Tell us in the comments what you think of these videos. And no, the Spanish flu did not originate in Spain, contrary to popular belief, but in the United States in 1918. It was caused by a very virulent and highly contagious H1N1 strain. And if it has been called Spanish, it is simply because Spain was the only country at that time to publish openly and freely information about the disease.